so that we get this class.
Mhm.
First thing, before I share my screen and I dive into um, how to create a Google My Business listing, I want to talk a couple of whys and then kind of some pieces that you need before you can do it. So, first thing I wanted to point out was what's the first thing that someone does when they don't know you and they're going to work with you or someone refers them to you? Anybody have a guess? What do you do when you meet someone new? Are you a crazy stalker like I am? Google, Facebook, look up their name. Yeah. So, especially in a relationship business like you guys are in, they're definitely going to be looking for you. Google is everyone's go to. So, Google has an 80% plus market share on searches. So, although there are other search engines out there, Yahoo, Bing, um, 80% plus, they say 80% plus, all use Google. So, Google has this huge market share on searching. And according to Inman, 10 or more reviews on a Google My Business listing can get you 3.5 times the attention and 6.5 times the inquiries. I'm going to say that one more time. I see some people writing. So if you have a Google My Business listing and you have 10 or more reviews on that listing, you can get 3.5 times the attention as other realtors and 6.5 times the inquiries by having 10 or more reviews on your Google My Business listing. So that's another piece I'm going to point out is it's not only important to have a Google My Business listing, it's important to have reviews on that listing. So, in order to get started, the first thing that you have to create a Google My Business listing is a Gmail account. So, for those of you that don't have a Gmail account, that's the first step that you're going to do. You'll just go to gmail.com and it will ask you to either log in or it's going to ask you to create an email account. I'm going to do a screen share here. Give me a second. Can everybody see my Google? Yeah. Okay. Just so you guys know, as I'm going through the process, if you have the Zoom faces on the right hand side, it might be covering up some of the work I'm going to do. So you can actually grab that piece of the screen. So in Zoom, if you see like my face is on the side, maybe Nikki's, some of your the people that you work with are there, go ahead and grab that screen and drag it to the left side or the bottom or the top. That is going to allow there to be no obstructions of my screen so that you'll be able to see, especially that top right corner of Google. Can you guys see my tiny little picture? 9 gray dots. It says Gmail and images. If you can't see what I'm talking about, you may need to move the pictures of the people talking or me talking. Maybe you change the view that you have, change it to show active speaker video or hide the thumbnail video. That way that you can just see the screen that I'm sharing. Does anybody have questions on that? No, I can't see you all. So unmute yourself if you have a question as I get going, or go ahead and in the bar at the bottom, you have your video options for your audio, your video, and then there is a chat option there. So if you do put a question in that chat, Nikki is going to stop me at any point so that we can answer those questions as well. Okay, I am going to pretend to be Arlene Cohen and I am going to set up a Google My Business listing. Before I set it up, I'm going to show you a couple of them and show you what they look like. So, Colleen, glad to see you. We're going to search Bill Black, just a regular Google search for Bill Black. And do you see this listing over here on the right-hand side? You can see there's a picture with the building with his truck and his signs. You see the Bill Black team, NP Dodge. They have 36 Google reviews. All this information right here. This is the modern day Yellow Book listing. So this is like buying an ad in the Yellow Book so that you have a bigger space for commercial type information book is basically what this is, but it's free to you. So a free Google Gmail account, a free Google My Business account will get you all of this. And you can see as I scroll down, Bill has some reviews. You can see right here, this profiles. I want to point this out. You can see his Facebook is connected. But I'll talk about that in a little bit, but that's not actually something you have control over, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So here is a Google My Business listing. That's what that looks like. I'm going to do one more. I'm going to do the Pittenger team, if I can spell. So as I pull that up, you can see Pittenger team has a Google My Business listing. They don't have reviews on their Google My Business. So they did the first step, which is creating it, which is the most important step to make you have that empty space on the right-hand side of a search for your name. And as I scroll down, you can see there's a little bit more, but they don't have a ton on there, but they have it. So now I want to show you what it looks like if you don't have one. Oh, look at that sad white space on the right. Do you guys see that? So I obviously can find great information about Arlene on the MP Dodge website. She has a YouTube account. She has a Facebook, LinkedIn. These are the most important pieces that you guys should hopefully all have. Your NP Dodge account is done automatically, and then Facebook is huge, and LinkedIn. Those are going to be kind of top search results for your name. But what would be really great is if she had this Google My Business listing on the right-hand side in this white blank space, because a lot of people don't do their second click. So maybe they want to get some more information on Arlene without a second click. And what I mean by that is I Googled Arlene Cohen, I pushed enter or search, and this is the page that popped up. Now to learn anything else about her, I actually have to do a second click. Go to her MP Dodge bio page, or go to her Facebook page or LinkedIn to learn more about her. Whereas when I was on Bill's or the Pittenger's, when I looked up their name, it gave me information about them right here on my search screen so that I didn't have to do a second click. The least amount of clicks to get information is going to be best for you guys. So that's kind of my start. This is what it looks like. This is why you need it. How do you get started with a Gmail account? And now I'm going to walk through the simple steps. For those of you that already have a Google My Business, this may not be, groundbreaking news for you, because I am going to walk through from the start how to create a listing. Before I get started, are there any questions? Okay, great. Okay. So I am in Chrome, which is a browser, just like Firefox or Safari. Maybe you're a Mac user, you might be on Safari, but if you did, go to Google, and I am already logged into my Google. So if you're not, you might have to log into your Gmail account. But even if you do, we just need to see where it says Google Apps. And actually, I need to switch to Arlene. Give me 2 seconds here. Okay. Oh, pretty Arlene. There she is. Can you guys see that I switched to Arlene? And I still have these 9 dots to the left of her image. And right there are what we call Google Apps. And you can think of those like the apps on your phone. They have different little programs that we can use within Google that's connected to our Gmail account. So if I click on the Google Apps, I get all of these options. I gotta click on it again, sorry. I have, sorry, my husband's called me like 3 times. I'm trying to get him to stop, but it pops up on my computer and stops me from what I'm doing. Okay, so I clicked on the apps, and you can see I can go to my Gmail. I can go to the YouTube account that is connected to my Gmail. If I keep scrolling down, there's Google Drive. For those of you that aren't familiar with Google Drive, awesome feature to use as part of your free Gmail account is just document storage, image storage, whatever you want to use it for. And if I keep scrolling down, you will see Google My Business. Now, if you did not see this app right here, if I went down further, I could click more from Google and it would take me to more apps and I could find that Google My Business app right here. So I'm going to scroll back up and it looks like a little storefront. It's got that cute blue striped awning on it with a big G, and it says My Business. So I'm going to go ahead and click here. And here it's going to talk about Google My Business. It talks about how you can engage with customers on Google for free. But really, I don't need to walk through this. I'm going to go ahead and click the Manage Now button, and you'll see it in the top right corner, but it's also down on the bottom left. So it doesn't matter which one you click on, it's going to take you to the same place. So click on Manage Now, and then disregard this step because it switched back to my account, and I need to switch to back to Arlene. Oop, not there. Click too soon. Sorry, guys. Give me a second here. There we go. Okay. So if you don't have a Google My Business account and you click on that Manage Now button, this is where you're going to land. And right here, we are going to name your listing. So something that's important to think about when you are naming your listing is actually your Facebook page. So for those of you that have a Facebook business page, it's really important that the naming convention is very similar. That is how Google will see that you have a Facebook account and link it to your Google My Business listing. So I pointed out that Facebook icon that was on Bill Black's Google My Business listing. That is not something you or I have control over. There's also a way to get your Zillow reviews onto your account. It's actually all done through Google by themselves. They do the matching and they will link those accounts together. So it's really important that when you think about naming your business here, that it is similar to your Facebook business page. So I am going to go ahead and peek at Arlene's Facebook page. Can you guys see that? Did it switch with me? Okay, so hers is Arlene Cohen, NP Dodge Real Estate. So when I come back here, I'm going to make it as similar to that as I can. I'm not going to add the comma. I don't know that it's necessary for this listing. But here you see the first option that pops up as I named it is create a business with this name. So I'm going to click on that. And then for those of you who this is intimidating, look down here at the bottom. What's the name of your business? Here it is. I get a next button and you'll see that these little dashes here are going to start to fill in as step 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then we're done. So you can always see where you're at in the process and not be overwhelmed. And it's just really going to walk you through it and it's not going to be intimidating. So I'm going to go ahead and click next. There it did, filled in that first bar. We did that first step. So now I get to choose the category that fits your business best. I think the trickiest thing about Google My Business when you're creating it right here is that you can't, it's not very intuitive on like, oh, where do I click to find my business category? So I'm going to tell you, click your cursor on this line. And then as you start to type, so I barely started to type real estate. And then I get my options. So I'm going to select real estate agents. Once I've chosen my business category, I'm going to then click next. So step 1's done. Now I'm going step 2. Did that, it's done. So now I get to decide, do I want to add a location customers can visit like a store or an office? So I'm going to go ahead and say yes. And I'm going to put in once I click next, it's going to ask me for the address. So you can decide, are you going to connect to a location? I suggest you do that. It actually makes your office the kind of the pin on the map when someone's looking at your listing. So I'm going to go ahead and click next. I think there's something comforting about seeing someone who's not tied to, who is tied to a real estate location as well. So now they need the address. So I'm going to start to type in Arlene's address, which is 501 North 148th Street, which is the NP Dodge building on 148th Street in Dodge. And it went ahead and filled it in. You could see it spoke to Google, and it saw, as I typed in 501, it gave me the option of North 148th, and I clicked on it, and it filled out the rest of the form. Now I'm going to click next. And then it's asking, do I also serve customers outside of this location? Example, if you visit or deliver to your customers, you can let them know that you're willing to go anywhere. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, yes, I know you all go everywhere. Okay, where are the areas that we serve? This is another piece that's really important to a Google My Business listing. Filling this in with as many as you can actually helps Google. So as Google, whatever its algorithms are, how it finds, what it finds, when it finds it, I'm not going to pretend to know, but it is said that the more places you have in here, Google's going to find you better. So now I'm going to go to town on the greater Omaha area. So just hang tight with me for a minute. Let's start with Omaha. Blair. Elkhorn. Ooh. Let's do Bellevue. Those of you who do Iowa, you're going to have a lot more to add here. Gretna. Let's do Bennington and La Vista and Papillion. You guys get the gist? You understand what I'm saying? We want to list as many of these as we can. If you are thrilled to work in Lincoln, you can add Lincoln. I don't know if Arlene is, so I'm not going to fill that one in. But if that's one that you want to be searchable or found connected to Lincoln, obviously throw that one in there. Omaha, Blair, Elkhorn, Bellevue, Gretna, Bennington, La Vista, Papillion. Did I miss any that are really close? We can add these later too. So you're going to add as many of those as you can. And all I did was, as I started to type it out, it populated in that drop down. I clicked on it and it put it in that bottom section where you see these X's are. If I wanted to remove one, I could click on an X. And then it gave me this search field is empty again, so I could add something else. So if I wanted to do Lincoln or Ashland, whatever it might be, I could start to type that and click on it in the drop down as it appeared. So here's my next button. I'm getting closer. Next, what contact details do you want to show your customers? So this is another super important part of your listing. So the few pieces that you really need that show up greater when it comes to Google finding you and putting you up higher in searches and all that, the things that I've read that are most important are obviously your naming convention matching your other profiles out there on the web. Reviews are huge. We talk about that all the time. I've got my review class that I taught previously is coming up again in the next couple weeks. So I talked through even how to get those on Google My Business. What else was it? The areas that I showed you, and then your contact information to make sure you have an up-to-date phone number in here. 598-796, and then also a website. So I'm going to put in Arlene's website. For those of you that don't know, you have an NP Dodge website already created and set up. You don't have to do anything. There's obviously lots of customizations that we can do. And we have classes on that as well. But yours is going to be your first name, last name, .npdodge.com. Now take note, that was not at NP Dodge, it was .npdodge.com. So contact number and website, and then I'm going to click next. Now I get to finish and manage this listing. So you'll see I got all of those filled out. So I'm going to go ahead and click finish. Now, one piece to this puzzle is that once you've created this listing and you've connected it to an address, you have to wait 5 days to get a postcard from Google that's going to have a code on it. So it's asking who do they want it sent to. I'll say Arlene Cohn at this address. and then I'll click mail. So you're going to get, so this is their way of verifying. So some of us, when we put a password in or an email address to different websites, you know, we get a code on our phone, maybe text to us to verify our identity. Well, this is their way of verifying the location. This is another huge piece of your listing that's important. So I'm going to go ahead, after I filled out her name, I'm going to click mail. And now in 5 days, or within 5 days, I will get a postcard from Google, and I will be able to verify my location with the card because it will have a code on it that I will enter into my listing. I'm going to go ahead and click continue. And then you can add your services, and you could skip this one. So if I wanted to say, you know, maybe you work with new construction, I could add that. You can add all your own and then just click save. Maybe you want to put first time home buyers, and we can come back to this section as well, but I want to get to the listing so that you can see it. Business hours. So I can come in here and select to turn these all on, and then open and close time. If I know you guys, most of you are going to do this. All days of the week, all times. Now you can go in and modify that. Doesn't mean people are going to follow it, because they're just going to see your phone number or your website and contact you no matter what on all of those. All right, got to move your faces here. And then I have a save and a skip. So the more information you fill out, the more robust your profile, the better for your SEO. So you probably hear SEO a lot. Search engine optimization drives you up in searches when people are Googling. So I'm going to go ahead and click save on the business hours. I can add messaging. I'm going to skip this for right now. And then business description. This is another huge piece that is actually more important than you think. A description on your listing. So I'm going to go to Arlene's website. You guys see her website here? Okay, I'm just, for the sake of saving time, we can come back in and edit this. I'm just going to copy the first part of her bio and go back to her listing and paste. Then I'm going to click save. So what's really important is, you know, your contact information, creating that listing. You have to have the Gmail account. You need your areas that you serve and your description. So now you can add images. So she could, as she goes, she could add images of the clients that she's working on, maybe houses that she's sold. You can do that on your listing that I'm going to get to in a minute. I'll get to the page where you manage it. But there's also an app, and it is so simple. It's like as simple or more simple as adding a post to Facebook. So we can add a photo for Arlene. I'm just going to add her. Can you guys see the pop-up? Okay, I'm just adding her portrait for right now. Going forward, she can add what she wants. There's Arlene. I'm going to click next. You can, they say you get a free credit with their advertising. I'm going to skip this for right now. I'm just trying to get to it. And then it says it's almost ready. Your edits will be visible to customers on Google after you've been verified. So that's after I get that postcard within 5 days, my listing will be visible. So I'm going to go ahead and click continue. And this is the management page. So I am pending verification right here. So it's not up to date yet, but you can see as I scroll down, I've got a bunch of different things on my home page here, but really pay attention to the left-hand side. You have a posts section. This is where you can make a post. It can be, you know, an article about, if this is just like all your social accounts, if you want to. The best main thing that you need to do with Google My Business, and I don't want it to overwhelm you. I know some of you are already like, I'm already trying to figure out what to put on Facebook. It's so much. If you drive people to give you reviews here and keep your contact information up to date, you have done more than enough when it comes to your Google My Business listing. The fact that you have one and reviews, I cannot talk enough about reviews. Your millennial buyer is still your most common home buyer right now, and they are review people. They are going to go out and see what people are saying about working with you. They're not going to look at how long you've been in the business. They want to know what it's like to work with you and what people have to say about that. We're Yelp people. We are review people. I cannot tell you how many things I don't buy because of reviews. I get down in those little holes on reading so many reviews. Info is all the information that I filled out for her. So here, if I wanted to make any edits to this information, these little pencils to the right of the information will allow me to edit that section. If I wanted to add special hours, I could. Services, I could add more there. Here is that bio. If I want to edit that, she can edit that at any point. You can add photos at any point. Right now, insights won't really show me anything, but you can see the insights of people coming to your listing. So once it's verified, you can come in here and see what the traffic to that listing looks like. And then reviews, this is the one that I'm trying to push the most. And again, I can't show you this fully because it's not a verified listing and this is still set up. But once it's verified, reviews are so important on Google. They are just the thing that most people go to look for. You're looking for those stars. We're all looking for those stars. And when someone Googles your name and it pops up and they see, 4 stars or 5 stars, depending on what's the highest, that there's something so powerful about that. So this is a huge part. The reviews class, once your listing is all verified, you can watch our reviews class video, or you can come to the next reviews class. We talk all through how to share the link to where you ask for the reviews here. But that is the gist and the basics of creating a Google My Business listing. Do you all, I'm going to kind of stop there and see what kind of questions we have. I know I threw a lot at you. I will re-share the main pieces that you need to hit again, but go ahead and I'm going to open it up to questions. So if you have one in the chat, or you can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask a question.
Stacy, this is Maggie. I was just wondering, how would I change my areas of where I would go to in my Google business?
Sure. So that was under info. If you already have one created, go to your info and scroll down right here, service areas. So if you click here, I can click the X to remove any, or I can add them here like I did when I created the listing. Anybody else? No, was I that thorough, or are you all overwhelmed? Oh, someone unmuted.
Is there a way to overcome negative reviews, or to turn that feature off if you're not interested in people reviewing you?
You cannot. You cannot turn off the reviews, and you cannot remove reviews. The best thing you can do with a negative review is to respond to it. Everyone knows that people are going to get negative reviews. The people that do reviews are either high emotion or low emotion typically. And so people who depend a lot on reviews acknowledge that and know that. Mr. TripAdvisor, I think you know that. You either really love it or you didn't love it. If it was mediocre, you're probably not going to do a review. But seeing the author's response to that negative review is huge. And then you just need to make sure you're asking your clients that you know had positive situations to review you more, to push that negative one down. Great question.
Thank you.
Wish we could remove it. We can't. Facebook lets you remove it altogether. You can't remove individual reviews. You can remove that section, but Google does not, because they rely so heavily on reviews. Anyone else? No? Okay. That is what I have for you guys today. If you don't have any questions for me, that's great. If you start to go do this and you get caught on it, Nikki and I are both available. We can walk you through it. We can help to create it. Don't let it overwhelm you. It can be a really simple thing to go out and set up, and you don't really have to think about it again. Like I said, reviews, if you ask for reviews, those are important. Download the app. It's really, really simple. An easy way to manage that listing once you've created it. You can, if you want to post to it, you can, but you can, change your information, add images, those kind of things right there from the app. It's really simple. Nikki, you have anything to add or any questions in the chat that I missed?
No, I don't see any questions in the chat.
Great.
Yep.
Stacy, would you mind just staying on a little bit when we're done, just so I can ask you some questions
Sure.
about my personal page? Thank you.
You bet.